Good morning, fifth grade online learners. Welcome to another day of science class. And fifth grade science, we are switching topics to something called moving materials. And in our book, this is what it looks like. So actually, it's kind of a continuation of last week when we talked about that overgrown um, house with weeds. And this is just different kind of things that can overgrow in a forest. So moving materials, we have some new vocabulary. I would study my study guide for this week's quiz. Make sure you know this terminology. Non-vascular plant, phloem, which is spelled Phloem, transpiration or transpiration, vascular plant, and xylem, Xylem. So there's some tricky words there. Make sure you take a look at your vocabulary really closely this week. Non-vascular plants. If you have ever observed moss on the side of a tree, you should know that all plants have the same structures. Mosses are example of non-vascular plants, which lack true leaves, stems, and roots. They also lack structures that transport food, water, and other materials between plant parts. In addition to mosses, non-vascular plants include liverworts and hornworts. They have few specialized cells and no complex organs. Non-vascular plants are almost always small. Their size is limited because they lack ways to deliver water to distant parts. Instead, most of their cells must be close to the outside environment. Gases, water, and minerals move directly between the environment and the cells. Although they are small, non-vascular plants fill important roles in the environments. Because they absorb water, they help hold soil in place and keep it from drying out. So that is this page. Now we'll look at this page. Again, a lot of new terminology here, stuff that you should really study because you've probably never seen these words before. I don't remember them in fourth grade science being there, so really study your yellow vocabulary this week. Vascular plants. Most plants you can name, including evergreen trees, flowering plants, and ferns, are examples of vascular plants. A vascular plant has specialized tissues that transport materials throughout it. Veins, which you read about in Lesson 1, carry materials in and out of the leaves. Veins are example of vascular tissues. The organs of vascular plants include roots, stems, and leaves. Roots anchor a plant in the ground. They also absorb water and minerals from the soil. Some roots store food for the plant as well. The stem supports the plant and holds its leaves up in the air so they can receive sunlight. The stem also provides a way for water, minerals, and food to move between the roots and the leaves. Stems contain two important kinds of tissues, xylem, Xylem, and phloem, Phloem. Xylem tissues conduct water and minerals upward from the roots. So the xylem pushes the water upward from the roots. Phloem tissues conduct food materials downward from the leaves to the rest of the plant. So phloem pushes materials downward. A typical plant stem has a ring of bundles containing both xylem and phloem. A strip of tissue called the vascular cambium lies between the xylem and the phloem. Here, xylem and phloem are produced. And then there's some pictures of a tree trunk. Trunks grow with rings that mark each year's new xylem or wood tissue. The darker parts show where the growth slowed at the end of each season. Stems grow wider by adding new layers of xylem and phloem. New layers grow on either side of the vascular cambium. Last page. The flow of water, the upward flow of water. Usually water flows downward. In the stems of plants, however, water flows upward. How does this happen? Water moves up in plants because of root pressure, cohesion, and transpiration. Water enters roots because roots are drier than the surrounding soil. The outer walls of roots have specialized cells that keep the water from leaking back out. Eventually, pressure builds and pushes water upward. Root pressure alone is not strong enough to push water through an entire plant. Water travels the remainder of the trip because it is pulled upward. Water molecules cling to each other as a result of force called cohesion. They cling to molecules of other substances too, and this force is called adhesion. This forces water to climb up tubes of xylem tissue. An additional pull is needed to move water to the tops of taller plants. That pull is provided by transpiration. During transpiration, evaporation occurs through the leaves of a plant. As water moves from the plant to the air, water is pulled upward through the plant to take its place. About 99% of the water that enters the roots is transpired by leaves. You take a 5-second break. Thank you for waiting. Gravity, food from photosynthesis, is pulled down to nourish the plant. Cohesion, water, and minerals cling to each other and to the xylem. This forms a column under tension that rises up the stem. Root pressure pushes water and minerals up. So here is your 5th grade study guide. This is online under lesson plans and study guides. And it has the following terminology on it. Vascular plant. Materials are transported throughout specialized tissues in this plant. Xylem. Water and minerals are conducted upward from the roots through these tissues. This is the center circle of the stem. Root pressure. This force pushes water up through a plant. Cohesion. Water and minerals clinging to each other in a plant. Phloem. Tissues that conduct food materials downward from the leaves to the plant. This is the second circle from the outside of the stem. Vascular cambium. Between the xylem and the phloem is a strip of tissue called the vascular cambium. This is the small inner circle of the stem. Transpiration, evaporation that occurs throughout the leaf of a plant. Non-vascular plants, moss, and other plants that do not have leaves, stems, and roots. Key concepts. Water flows upward in the stems of a plant. Almost all of the water that enters a plant's roots goes through transpiration. Root pressure is not strong enough to push water through a plant on its own. Adhesion forces water to go upwards. Cohesion is when water molecules cling to each other. So make sure you know that for your quiz, 5th grade, and a lot of new terminology, a lot of vocabulary. Don't be intimidated by it, but just be familiar with how things are spelled and what they mean. Okay, good luck, and we will see you tomorrow.